Hello and welcome to The Point. I'm Neil Stanley and this is episode 26, where today we're going to talk about the evolution of the deposit pricing environment. Deposit pricing has a dynamic to it. It is a derived demand for deposits, which means that it's not that we want deposits just for the deposit's sake alone. We want them to fund assets. And the yield on the assets we fund the deposits with is really what determines the success of our operation. So, wholesale markets set interest rate expectations, and local markets determine the results. So there's both science and art in deposit pricing. And as interest rates rise off of a low zero floor, there's going to be much greater potential for performance variation. What we're going to do today is look back over time at how these environments have evolved. So to do that, we have helped you in thecorepoint.com. We've created a section under products and services called guidance. If you click on that, you're going to see the ability to pull down pricing environment evolution example since 2016. So when we look at that, we see this. In 2016, in June of that year, we have an environment for a local market where we show all the competitors, and then we also show in green the FHLB advance rate. That's what the bank could borrow from in a wholesale capacity. And then we're going to show you our client in that market, what they were doing. This client was offering these standard rates in the large dark circles, and this was a special that they were offering. And then they were offering limited edition over here in the triangle. That's a special purpose retention savings product that they use anytime they have a maturing certificate that doesn't want to renew into another term on the CD. And then the customized rates that they were using, and these customized rates are effectively the negotiated preset rates that we use for our best clients. Now those rates happen to be over FHLB, and you might say why? Well, it's because retail deposits have franchise value. We can sell other services to retail deposits, which we can't to FHLB advance rates. So when we're borrowing from the FHLB, there is a motivation to pay more on retail than there is on wholesale. Now that doesn't always exist, but in 2016, our client was willing to do that. Now let's move forward in time and see what it looked like. So we're going to move forward from 2016 to 2017. You're going to notice that there was a positive slope to the yield curve, the FHLB advance rate. Let's keep in mind where this 1.5 is, because the level of rate along the axis will change on some of these graphs based upon the interest rate environment. What you also notice, though, is that the competitors were very diverse. There were lots of different variations in terms of wholesale offerings in 2017. Some financial institutions were paying up, some weren't. So let's move forward from 2017 to 2018 and see what changed. Now notice what changed for our particular client going back to 17, back to 18. Notice that FHLB was consistently higher continually higher. It moved up. But yet our client said, no, we don't need to follow that. We're going to lag that. And everyone else was lagging that too. There were very few competitors above FHLB in 2018. That was not true in 2017. There were competitors above the FHLB rate in 17, but not so much in 18. So this is the environment that we observe. And then in 19, it went inverted, where lots of competitors were above FHLB advance rates. And that's always a surprise. You'll notice our client is down below FHLB with their standard rates and the customized rates and the limited edition and the companion. But we know what happened as we know our history, and that inverted yield curve was due to the fact that the market was sensing rates were going to decline. Now, the market didn't know that the pandemic was around the corner, but they ended up being right for whatever reason. And in 2020, we'll notice that interest rates, if we're keeping track of our 1.5 level, interest rates drop dramatically. In the wholesale world, we now introduce treasuries in the reddish brown line, and we have FHLB, which is covered up, but it's right behind the customized rates. But the rates are so low that, you know, our client was dropping rates very aggressively but the wholesale world had dropped them so aggressively that they were way below the rest of the competition in June of 20. There were so many of the local competitors who lagged on the way down, more than one would expect in retrospect of what happened. Now you will see that our clients use the companion accounts and the limited edition accounts to keep people from leaving, and that was a very healthy strategy that they used them so that they didn't have a commitment, but they had long-term savers in products that really made a difference for them. And then we moved to 2021. Now it looks like rates went up, but let's keep in mind where this axis is. 1.5 is right here, and you'll see that there were still some competitors above that. But what you'll notice is as we move from 2020 to 2021, 1.5 is up here. There's nobody, no wholesale, no local market above 1.5. Everybody got in line. This is when we started to get homogeneity in terms of pricing contraction. Everybody moved down close to that, very, very low interest level. But we started to get a positive slope to the yield curve with treasuries and FHLB. And our clients were paying close to treasuries on standard rates, and our clients were paying close to FHLB on FHLB advance rates with their customized rates. And so let's go forward though. This is the big switch, the big change from June 21 to June of 22. You'll notice that all the wholesale rates went up and very little for this particular local market. We have one outlier, or actually two outliers up here with higher rates, but most of them were below the customized rates of this particular client of ours, and the standard rates were very competitive in terms of profitability, but there was a lot of spread between the deposit rates and the U.S. Treasury rates and FHLB rates there. So this is just one particular client. If we go through time, we go back a year from 2022, we see how different it was with the lower wholesale rates. And in 20, they were even lower. In 19, they were inverted. In 18, the market was much more diverse in terms of deposit costs. It's pretty close to where we are today with most of the rates out in the mid to longer term of this graph. But the competition for deposits was much more aggressive at that time because of local loan demand. So that takes us up to today, but now let's look not just at one client, but let's think about the wholesale world is across all markets, but let's look at what it might look like in terms of market competition in a local market and what some of our clients might be doing with their standard rates, which are publicly available, and then the negotiated rates, which are privately negotiated or privately available, as well as the limited edition savings and the companion accounts. So here's one market. We're very proud of this particular financial institution's performance. Now, they're blessed by the fact that they don't have a lot of competitors moving up and encroaching on their deposits by paying closer to treasuries. But as we go to other markets, we see variation. This market has competitors that are pretty close, but then for some reason, probably competitive posture, they do not want to lose any deposits, and so they've put their negotiated customized rates very close to U.S. Treasuries. And then here you see they have a very different situation with the local competitors much more aggressive, but they're not as aggressive. And so these are kind of the flip side where local competitors aren't pushing them, but they've already volunteered to bring their customized rates up. Here, competitors are pushing them, but they're keeping their customized rates low. My anxiety for this particular client is I hope they don't lose what would be a profitable deposit at 1% to one of these competitors up here because they're only willing to pay something very, very close to standard rates on this. So we can go through each one of these variations and point out opportunities and performance results, but it helps me to see the variation, to see how most of our clients are keeping their standard rates in the bottom 1/3 of the local competitors and trying to keep competitive with those higher rate ones. Here's one where we would probably suggest they might consider lowering their standard rates a bit, but we love where they're positioned with their customized rates and their companion and limited edition. Very good there. Here's one where they're towards the bottom with standard, towards the top with the customized. Very good outlook there. So just different variations. Here's one where specials are really being used, and specials are fine as long as they're not perpetually used. we would be inclined to recommend maybe pulling away from the specials. But there are variations here. Some of them are quite unique. Some of them are more traditional and common. But everyone has the opportunity to be challenged by competitors who are up in this space, or in this case, only very little bit of competitive action there. So with that, I would just commend these reports to you. You're welcome to go out and look at these at any time. We tend to put them out there once every 3 to 5 months. We'll put out some of this kind of information. Ways to use this link to meet with me. To make it even easier for you, you can always use this QR code. You can just take a camera shot of, and it's going to give you access to just easily add that to your contact list and be able to access those resources. So I want to thank you for joining me to this episode of To The Point. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Make it a great day.